Welcome back to the 150 Beyond the Bubble podcast, where we share the stories of underdog entrepreneurs and innovators who are forging their own paths in emerging European markets. I am your co-host. We have a new co-host in 2026. I'm really excited about Siobhan. She will be also recording some episodes in the future. But today it's me, and I'm Brittany Evenson, and I am extremely excited to welcome Eva Domínguez to the show to talk about a subject that is extremely dear to my heart and I could talk about for days, which is storytelling. Eva is based in Barcelona and is the founder and creative director of Immersive Creatures, a studio that creates immersive experiences blending technology, art, and stories. So, Eva, I was a high school English teacher and middle school English teacher in the United States for a number of years, and then taught English for a couple of years here in Spain. So, I truly could talk about storytelling all day. I think it's just one of the maybe the thing that makes us all human, that connects all of us around the world. So I would love to hear more about your background and exactly how you came to found Immersive Creatures.
Um, Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm delighted to also talk about my passion, which is it's storytelling. Although I must say that I think people that comes from backgrounds as journalism, which is my case, or I don't know, people who are script writers, so they don't call the same storytellers. It's like, no, I'm a journalist.
Mm,
No,
sure.
and a storyteller is a more broad I think term in which there are many different people with different backgrounds and different ways of working. So that normally we are very specific. Like I come from a journalism background, and but yeah, my passion is telling stories, factual telling stories. That's why I became a journalist, because I think the world is such an interesting place.
Mm.
There's sometimes it doesn't look like, right? Because the news are especially lately, but there are so many interesting stories out there that are worth being watched and known by the public. And this is what this is why I became a journalist. Like, I mean, there's, oh, wow, these people are doing this. They hope these people are, changing science, or then, improving people's lives. This is what made me really passionate about this job. And this is one of my passions. And the other one is technology,
Hmm.
because technology is shaping our world as well as stories. I think they are the two for myself. For me, I think they are the tools that are somehow changing the our world. One is because technology is everywhere, and what technology allows us to do is this what we can create. I mean, is always a in the is a common ground. And then I got master degree in technology in the United States, because as soon as the web came out, I thought, wow, this is a new language. So
Hmm.
I want to learn this language. I want to be creating stories that are really shaped for this with this technology. And to make the long story short, I've been working in the intersection with stories, factual stories, and technology for almost 30 years. And that means that I been using any technology that was coming emerging at that time. At the beginning was the web, of course, then mobiles, then, and now I'm more into, of course, we are creating more immersive stories with augmented reality, virtual reality, and all these interactive technologies that allow us, that give us the sense of presence inside the story. These that are more sensorial technologies, and I think
Mm.
it's really a change of paradigm right now. So my passion is to make complexity easy to understand.
Yeah, but so much of storytelling is making the complex more simple to understand, right? Or sometimes I guess sometimes the opposite, depending on which direction you want to go. Maybe some novel writers like to make things more complex. But can you share an example of a current project, prior project, a favorite project to really kind of illustrate what we mean and what you mean when you talk about this immersive storytelling and how the technology is making the experience different than just, kind of reading a story or listening to an audiobook.
Okay, sure. We in our startup, we work with, we have two lines of work. One is services for clients. So we create tailored projects and stories for clients in different technologies. We always put the story and the goal that you want to achieve with this story first, and then the technology is, we choose the technology based upon that. So
Hmm.
sometimes a client can come with I want to create a virtual reality installation, and then you start asking what is the goal, and then you realize that it's not the best way,
Mm.
even though we would love to create VR, and then you create another thing. So this is one of the things we do, and we have here several examples, but then we have our own product. And this is the example I want to explain to you, because it's been a long process. I had a previous startup that was I started in 2013, and I had
Hmm.
to shut it down during the coronavirus in 2020. And now we have, with Immersive Creatures, we are creating a second version of the product that we created. And what is this? This is trying to make complexity easy for children
Mm.
by creating an adventure, an animated adventure, in which with fictional with characters that are extraterrestrials that come to Earth, and they need to understand humanity and what is going on in the world, because it's really a complex world. And these characters ask from the help of children, because they think they are the most intelligent beings on Earth. And
Mm. They're
so,
pretty, they're much more intelligent than we give them credit for. That's for sure.
yeah, and yeah. And I tell you why, because we have a long experience with this target. And so what we have created one is this is a series, and each chapter is about a topic, that is, a factual topic. It can be something that happened in the Romance times, or it can be something that is more present right now in the media. So each chapter is an adventure that is in the context of something that is factual. So
Hmm.
kids can learn about this theme. And we are creating this adventure in augmented reality. And this is an app, it's a gamified app in which, kids can learn about different topics, and it's gamified. That means that they are adding points and ability. Yeah, and they are like they have different points for different adventures, but it's not competition, but it's a kind of collaboration way of acquiring knowledge. So what we are doing is creating a form, telling about real things, real topics, in a way that for them is just fun, because for them is like a escape room kind of adventure, where they have to search for clues, and then talk to the characters. They are a part of the story, because they are someone else in the team of these extraterrestrials characters that have this mission of understanding the world, and they are adding points that every time they solve or they end one of these chapters.
Hmm.
And we are creating with these animated characters and this augmented reality that adds so much magic in the experience, because then when they find a clue, something pops up in the middle. It's for tablets and phones. So a character or an animal in 3D, or and a mini game shows up in 3D, and they have to solve it. So for me, this is this is my the project that I love, and I keep working on it for with the team. And the first adventures are taking place in museums. So we have, for
Hmm.
example, in Barcelona, if you go to the Museum of Archaeology, there is an adventure inside the exhibition about Rome. So when families, they download the application and the adventure, kids have
Hmm.
a different experience for them. It's like a sacred mission because even the story is not in the exhibition. It's a story that is made for them. That is
Mm.
how were children in ancient Rome, and they
Oh,
have to,
cool.
yeah, and so this is our goal. I mean, this is an example of how to create an immersive experience that is not it doesn't require a lot of settings, a big setting, but it's in the app, and it's portable, and then you can have different chapters, and we have already experience with the first children that have been using it, and it's the the feedback is amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that you see that like this project is emerging. My background, everything we do is first is the goal. What you want to achieve is like I want kids, to be so engaged in learning about the world because it's
Mm.
just fun, because it's an adventure, and we create the language that is natural for them, that is
Hmm.
playing with characters, these stories. So we have, this arc of the story that are the main, the like the big mission of the characters, and then in each chapter is a small mission. So it's a structure like a series of an animated series.
Yeah. And this is all within the confines of the archaeological exhibit, or
No,
there's
this is only
different.
the first chapter. No,
Got
the
it.
first chapter is in that. Then we have another chapter, for example, that is about huge animals, right?
Hmm.
And then these are portable adventures. We have two types of adventures. The ones that are location based, you have to be
Hmm.
there to experience it, and the ones that we call it portable. That is, you can do it from home or from anywhere.
Sure.
And so we have these two, and then we have a third one that is called retransmissions. That is when our characters just find out something, and they want just to explain to children what their findings. And
Hmm.
these are smaller ones, and they don't have augmented reality. But we have these three types of adventures. Yeah. So we
Hmm.
are just launching it. I mean, the new version of the app in next week. So
Oh, wow. That's so great. That's really
yeah,
exciting.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and what's guiding the chapters? Like, is there a particular like curriculum you're following, or is
No,
it like kind of based on more like you had mentioned kind of current events? So I'm curious as
yeah,
to how
no.
you're organizing that.
In the first in the this is this project that is called Ivanani.
Hmm.
Uh, the main character is Ivanani, is a robot, is an extraterrestrial robot of an extraterrestrial girl, right? She sends her robot to our planet, and so she is in her planet, and the robot is here, and then is the robot is the one that engaged children in the story and the team. So in this one, I mean, we have another, as I said, another startup that we started a similar project for schools. And the logic was the same one. It was an animated series. That's why we have tested so much the product and the way we create content. In that case was about the news. I mean,
Hmm.
we were talking about everything that was going on in the world, and we have international issues, environmental issues, culture, science. So we have like a four topics, and we were just trying to balance. Like okay, this week we're gonna create one of international topic. This week is gonna. So we have like sections, and
Yeah.
we were choosing the topics based on what was going on in the world at the time, but also trying to balance the different topics. In
Hmm.
this case, we are not so linked to the news. And we are also, what we do is we try to balance the different themes we want to cover. One can be more historical, another one can be more about nature,
Sure.
The
Yeah.
follow one is going to be more about science. So that's what I'm trying to balance. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like I said, I mean, I spent years in the classroom, and it's such a shame that I think that like classrooms kind of beat the fun out of learning. You know, like I was as an English teacher, which was an after school. It wasn't a traditional teaching role, right? It was an after school English academy here, well, in Vitoria, where I live, and I remember asking the students one day, this is a group of probably 14, 15-year-olds, what their favorite season was. And almost everyone said summer, which was surprising to me because Victoria is, first of all, like quite a cold place. And I knew that some of these students loved skiing and like winter sports because we had talked about that before. And so I asked them, okay, I imagine that school is not a part of this. Like, if you don't think about the school year, what season is your favorite? You know, and then suddenly it's like, oh, like half of them said winter, right? Because I like they liked skiing, they liked, you know, being cold, like they come from a cold place. And it like made my heart so sad because I thought like learning is so fun. You know, I just think that like curiosity is such a human trait, and it's exciting when you get to learn something new. And it's exciting when you get to kind of like go down a rabbit hole and allow your curiosity just sort of like to guide you where it wants to go. And it's really hard to create that kind of independence in a classroom in traditional classrooms. And it's really, I don't know, I feel for kids, especially today, where they have just like input all the time. You know, there's like no lack of interesting things to catch their attention. And then the classroom becomes this place that's sort of like the doldrums, which it should be the opposite. You know, it should be such this like
Yeah.
exciting place.
You know,
And
I love that you talk about this, Brittany, because this is why we created Eva Nani now, but the previous project was called Nushu. Uh, that was that was the goal because I did it for the girl I was.
yeah.
I was a kid that was very curious, and I remember being so bored in school, and that I feel school was a jail for me. When I mean, I didn't have a nice experience in school, despite that I love learning.
Hmm.
And they didn't manage to uh, yeah, to forget my interest in everything. But I think many kids that would love to, they have this curiosity. Maybe maybe they don't find the right way to expand it, because they don't feel. I mean, the way that you are, teaching them some topics are so and interesting for them that they don't follow this path anymore. That maybe there would be a path they would be interested. So Nushu was for
Hmm.
schools only. We have clients, we have schools that were using it and paying for it. It was like, they were using our service. And it makes such a difference. We went to record a video in a school, and when we arrived, and they said, this is the team of Nushu, and and Clisa start, Nushu, no, they start like chanting. And so like we love it. We love Nushu because
Hmm.
it's so cute because it was a very small character. It's so cute and it's so much fun. And I understand topics that, I didn't understand before. And I mean, for us was amazing. But we also had, it's not that just kids love it. That is my main goal, because I think if they don't love it, forget about it. I mean, they have to love
Sure.
it, you know. Um, but we also have awards for the quality, the innovation in Finland. I mean, we have a quality. We were selected as one of the innovations of the year in Finland, and we have a certification of quality because one of the things they told us is that despite we were explaining very hard topics sometimes. I mean, the Syria war, we explain it.
Hmm.
I mean, we have all kind of topics, but some of them were really tough. Despite we cover these topics, we were doing it in a way that kids didn't feel like, wow, the world is a really miserable place.
Sure.
But they had the idea that we can change it. That was our message. We have the power of changing the world. And so this for me was the most important thing we achieved, that kids love it, and they could learn about anything, but having this feeling that, okay, there are problems in the world, but I can contribute to change them.
Mm, yeah.
And this is the legacy that we have put it also in Ivanani. So what we have done is all the good things that we learned and tested with Nushu are in Ivanani, and we have improved all the ones that were not there. That
Mm,
and as you said, I mean, uh, for me, it was difficult because when you create something that is very innovative, you don't fit in the structure,
mm,
right. And Nushu was like this kind of project that is like, oh wow, but it's not about math. No, it's not about math, but it includes math. If the subject we're talking about, there is a math related topic, we're going to include it. So we were talking about everything. It was very transversal. But because it was so transversal, it was very difficult to put it they didn't know where to put it in the school. So each school used it
mm.
in a different way.
Yeah.
It was also in three languages: English, Spanish, and Catalan. And some schools use it for learning English. Like I was
Mhm.
like, you know. But I agree with you. Is For me, this was um, the most enriching experience, was to see how kids that had in some schools they have difficulties for learning. They loved Nushu because they felt they were intelligent, and that's
Mm,
important because they
yeah.
could understood very different, very complex issues easily. So they thought, I'm not as stupid. I'm an
Mm,
intelligent person. That's
yeah.
important.
Yeah, and I think that that is such a struggle for a lot of students in school. It's just that like how hard it is to feel successful if they don't kind of thrive in that very structured environment. Like I
Yeah.
was always a really good student, and I do thrive in like structure. Like sit me down and tell me what to do. Like give me the rules. And
Yeah.
that is like where I can learn best. Like I am a bit of like a boring student in that sense. And I think being an educator, it really forced me to kind of reckon with the fact that like that is not most students. And that actually like I had to kind of create more empathy within myself of like, this is what worked for you isn't going to work for your students. So like, having to kind of get out of my comfort zone, like, take what you just said, sort of like taking those lessons of like, oh, that doesn't work in this setting.
Yeah.
Um, but I'd love to like switch gears slightly, because I could talk about education and storytelling for days, um, and talk a little bit more about like kind of the business perspective. So you said you had clients.
Mm.
I'm assuming not all of the clients are in the like world of education or
No.
educational institutions. So could you give an example of kind of more of a commercial
I
use
don't have right
case?
now. I don't have any client in the educational institutions. I have clients in the pharmaceutical industry, for example. I have
Mhm.
clients in foundations. I have it's not because what we do is we create these complex topics easy to understand for any kind of public. And for example, for the pharmaceutical company, we work with doctors in the company. They have to explain, either sometimes internally, sometimes externally, how their drugs work. And
Mm,
or they have a lot of papers that they have to disseminate in to doctors or professionals, and they don't always have the time to read papers. Let's
sure.
so we create out of papers, we create videos, or we create that we work also with 3D. We create all
Mm,
3D environments and assets, and then we make these because of course we have to create the lungs or any physical organ. And we create videos that are very accurate, but very easy to understand also for professionals, because we are, as you said before, we are overwhelmed by information. So there is an overload of information, and we don't always have time for this, for, to deep into a paper or a very specific content. But I want to understand what were the results of that, research they did during 10 years, and I only have 3 minutes. So this video is going to sum up the results, and then maybe I can read the paper later. But so we work with all kind of companies, because this storytelling is necessary for everyone. We are we are bombarded by so much content, so much information that sometimes we don't understand because we don't have the time. But if we only have 3 minutes, why not create a 3 minutes piece that is accurate, very and scientific. But I can understand the more important thing about this, the results of this investigation. This is possible. This is one of the things we are doing for one of our clients. For other ones, for example, they want to have an impact on people, on awareness of difficult topics, right? And then, for example, they create exhibitions. They have to they create exhibitions that they want to put in different places. So in this case, every year we think about how to create a format that is interesting and immersive. This year we are working with a VR installation, and it's about the rights, how the rights of women workers are not being are being violated in many places in the world. So it's a difficult topic, but we are creating a VR experience. So
Yeah.
so of course at the end everything we do has an educational purpose, but we're not working directly with educational institutions.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense. I don't know about you, but so in mid-December of 2025, there was a Wall Street Journal article that went viral. So it was just all over my LinkedIn feed with the title "Companies Are Desperately Seeking Storytellers." And in this article, it talked about Google had posted a job for a customer storytelling manager. Microsoft was looking for a senior director overseeing narrative and storytelling. And so, as someone who's been immersed in storytelling and the importance of storytelling for so long, I'd love your take as to, why is this title growing in popularity right now? Like, what is happening right now that this is kind of growing in popularity to the extent that these like huge, big tech companies are using this title for roles? What does this kind of say about like the current climate of our society?
Yeah, because that's what connected to what we said before. We are overwhelmed by information, and is so much content over there that it's important. We are narrative beings, or we all are. We when we talk about ourselves, we are creating a story of who we are. That makes sense for us, right?
Mhm.
And the way we tell the story about ourselves also change our perceptions of ourselves. So that is the same with companies. So how you tell the story of your company, of what you are doing, of how you are, is also changing the perception of people. But it's not just about one story. It's about being consistent in everything you do with this message of who you are, what are your values, how you work. It's not about creating a specific just as a marketing campaign. This storytelling, this narrative has to be in everywhere you do, in everywhere
Mm.
you express. So it's more a big content strategy. And I think that's why and then storytellers, yeah, as I said, I don't, storyteller is a very broad term, but you have this vision of wow, but I mean, you are your values. What you are telling me, what you're telling me right now is not really connected to what your department of sales is saying. It's not the
Mm,
same story. You're not having a cohesive narrative. So I think, and in different formats, how do you create this strategy, that what is the message, how we talk about ourselves in different formats, in different moments. And you cannot just repeat the same message over and over. It's like if you are creating a big world, narrative world. You have your world, and then each character or department has a different way to express it. So
mm.
that's why I think they need storytellers, because we have all this way to structure a narrative world. That I think
Yeah,
this is where companies are becoming.
that's interesting. It's interesting to think of like a company as big as, a Microsoft or a Google where they have, who knows how many sub departments. To think of every sub department of like a subplot in a narrative is kind of interesting. That's like a
Well,
writer.
I mean, it's just an example. I don't mean that they're gonna work this way, but yeah, at the end, you see everybody's telling a story, even conscious or unconsciously. So
Mm,
if one of your employees is talking about your company, is telling a story about the company. Is this really related to the strategy that we have, or is different? I mean, the narrative is spread in everything you do, in every email you send.
mm,
How do you do, not only I'm not talking only about copywriting. I'm talking about how you're structuring your narrative in everything, in the visuals, in the format, in the I mean, it's very complex. So that's what I think they need people that are more used to think about narrative worlds and see the inconsistency of everything or not. It's like, oh, this is not,
mm.
oh, what this later plot has to do with the overall narrative, right? I don't
Yeah, it's interesting because it feels like, storytelling was, I mean, I started my career in PR. Like I switched from education to public relations in 2015. And I remember at that point, like branded content was kind of like the new cool thing. And that's where like storytelling suddenly, like, maybe that was probably not the first wave, but my first wave of hearing storytelling in kind of this more commercial content context around brands and really, trying to sell their product, trying to sell their their story as a brand. Um, and I'm wondering, is it because oh, well, sorry, I'm kind of trying to follow my own kind of rapidly moving thought. Um, it seems like marketing and storytelling were always kind of one and the same. Like I think marketing departments for forever have been the ones telling stories about brands. So do you think that this is kind of the next iteration is more kind of like we need to actually do this on a much larger scale? Like we can't just, keep it to the
Yeah.
marketers.
Yeah, that's what I think, because at the end we are all telling stories. The way an employee is talking about your company is telling the story to the customer.
Mm,
So the marketing is not the only one who is sending the message. We are sending the message all the time. Everything we do, everything the way, that's what I think. We need an overall strategy that is not just only the marketing department, but understanding that the marketing department is doing a type of work, but the narrative world of the company and the way we talk about ourselves, we are all doing it in
mm,
a way, so that's what I am the way I understand it, at least. Yeah.
yeah. And do you find that like when you're working with a client, because I'm thinking about like just how overwhelmingly complex that would be to think about it in that way, right? Like if you own a company that's, has been around for a while and you're suddenly realizing that like there's no cohesive narrative, like there's a million different stories. And I'm thinking on top of that, right? Like if you don't tell the story, other people will tell the story for you, right? Like we're all generating stories like inside of ourselves constantly. It's like just how we make sense of the world, I think, naturally as humans. So if you don't own the narrative, somebody always gonna like own it for you. Um, like where would you even begin? Like can someone start like fresh, like even
Yeah,
though
and you
they've
have
already existed?
I don't know. And you have to also be flexible because it doesn't mean that you have to control because it's not something that it's very difficult to control the what people are telling about you. You're not going to control it, but you can be open, listening to what are you people saying about you, and then include it or react that some way that is in your narrative. It's like this TV series that are not that there are so many examples that they are also watching what people are saying on social networks about the
Mm,
and then say look, these people are thinking this about this character, and then in the next chapter they include well in some chapters later
sure.
they include something that is somehow uh, that you see they are not they're making you participate in somehow in the narrative because they are listening to it. So this
Sure.
is and this is what good storytellers do also. They are like, okay, there are so many ways to explain this story. So if someone have since your audience, your clients are reacting in some way, you can somehow include it in the main narrative and making it work at your in a positive way of your
Yeah. I
so
just
that's
read, well, just read, I don't know, sometime last year, there was an article, I think it was in the New York Times, and I can't remember like the author that was being profiled, but he was like he's a beloved kind of children's book writer in the United States, Canada, North America. And I remember reading some of his books like as a kid. And what was really interesting to me is that his history was that he would go into classrooms and tell stories and like essentially workshop his new stories with kids over time. So like he would go in and tell the story and then, kind of figure out what the kids reacted to, what they wanted to hear. And he had very much had this philosophy of the stories don't have to be didactic. They don't have to be like trying to force like a moral agenda down a kid's throat. It's really like allowing kids to enjoy stories for the sake of stories. And then, I loved that he was like actively working with children to create those stories.
yeah,
And yeah, I don't know, it just reminded me of that the best storytellers are the ones that are always kind of looking for ways to improve on the story, to like give the audience the story that's the most appropriate for them, like making sure
yeah,
that they know their audience, for sure.
yeah, totally. And it's important because you have a sense of agency in the story. You are participating,
Mm,
important. And more nowadays, our people are so used to participate in have an active role in creating things and saying they things about the stories about the so it's important that they feel that they have this sense of agency somehow they are being taken into account in the story, that they are part of the creation of the story. And because then you feel more engaged, you are not just observing and a
yeah.
story that is made and never changes, but it's a story that is changing or is different in every time you see it. And we come here is the influence of video games and in this new era of stories are more fluid,
Hmm.
they are not
Hmm.
straight closed, they are open, they are more like narrative arcs that are more open, and then they are narrative worlds, as I say, and then they can develop or be expanded in many different ways. Mm.
Yeah. So knowing that, it's true that it is much more fluid and there is an important element of allowing like the audience to engage and participate. And then they're thinking through like from a startup point of view, right? So we try to focus on startups that are working outside of huge tech hubs, which, Barcelona is probably beyond emerging at this point. There's quite a tech scene there, but I think for for founders, for people building in places where they don't have, the same level of resources that someone in Silicon Valley could find. Um, the thought of kind of building this narrative in a way that's like flexible, but also like they know what their narrative is, but also cohesive. Like, where does someone even begin? Like, how do they start to tell their story? What should they do? How do they start?
And you mean the story about themselves, or as a service that they are doing for clients? What do
I'm
you mean?
thinking more of, yeah, like because, startups obviously have to pitch a lot, right? Like a big part of what they do is just like trying to find people to either invest in them, buy their product, believe in
Mm,
them, partner with them. And that a pitch is a story, like it
yeah.
is a very quick and dirty story. Dirty's not the right word, but like quick and effective, pithy
See,
story. And I think that a lot of founders, especially founders whose background is in tech, right? Maybe like they're more of like developers. They're not as proficient in storytelling. I think a lot of them struggle to know how to tell their story,
I
at least
think,
in my experience. So I'd love
yeah,
to
that's
hear
true.
like,
I mean, that's what the ones that we are in this field, we always say, okay, let's collaborate,
yeah, yeah.
because yeah, we are not going to be all experts in everything, especially small teams, startups. You have to know where where you're good at, and then for the rest, ask for help,
Mm,
and I believe a lot with startups in creating synergies and contributions and partnerships that is okay, yeah, I can help you with this, you can help me with that, because you're good at this. So there is a also tendency of trying to do everything themselves, right? I mean, we do ours, and yes, as you say, there are amazing startups out there that have amazing products and services, but the way they explain it, because it's so techy, is like, no, you're not focused, you're focusing on the technology, but no, it's not about the technology. The story is not about the technology, it's about what are you, how are you making like people's life easier, better,
mm,
or companies' lives easier, better. So I would say right now we have many tools. I mean, I'm sure that if you try, with AI, we can, you can have this assistant that can help you to create something. But what is more important is the main message. What is really your value proposition? How you transform this in a message that people feel identified. It's like, oh wow, yeah, this is this is really the solution I need, because this is the problem I have.
mm.
And for that, you know um, there are many people that can help out there. I will always tell them, ask for help to another startup and find an agreement. We have to collaborate. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, I love that advice. Is like asking for help.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
so
because
simple, but it's so important, and it's really
it's so
hard, I think, for a lot of
important. I
people to
mean,
do.
yeah, as a startup, you have to ask for help a lot.
Mm,
And in trying to focus on, or you are really good at, because otherwise you're going to, spread your energy all over the place. And most of the things you're going to do, are going to be well done, because it's not your focus or your expertise. Um, of course, when you are in a startup, you have to do a lot of things. It's like you
yeah.
cannot find as you're not going to hire anyone for for everything you have to do. But when things are, as this thing about the how do you explain yourself to the world is so important. I will try to, if I don't have the skills, when I can ask for advice and do it myself, or otherwise I can try to find someone that can help me, and there are many ways to do that. So,
Yeah,
I believe in
absolutely.
collaboration and contribution, not competition.
Mm, amen. Me too. Um, I feel it would be wrong to end this conversation without asking you your favorite stories. Favorite story,
Oh
favorite
wow.
story medium. I know it's a really hard one. Um, but it feels.
Yeah, it's really because I have so many. I mean, I read so many different things from science fiction to, I mean, I'm so curious that pick up for many different subjects. And so I don't know. I would say the latest I would recommend Hamnet, for example. I think it's a beautiful book, and it seems that is an amazing movie that I'm going to watch this weekend.
Oh,
Uh,
I saw
yeah,
it last week.
I just saw it. Yeah,
I did. Just
you
last
know,
week. Like, no, this
well,
week. On Monday. It's only Friday. I saw it on Monday.
oh, well, I really love her. I mean the author.
Mm.
I mean, I've read all her books so far, and I think it's one of the best writers that I have, that I have discovered lately.
Mm.
And yeah, this is a quick recommendation, but I mean, I don't know, I would say I'm
Oh,
a fan
I
of
put you on the
science
spot.
fiction. So what?
I
I'm
put you
also
on the spot. I didn't give you any forewarning, so I think it's fair to not have an answer right away.
no, 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 no,
Extremely
no. I'm
hard
gonna say
question.
about what is the, but for example, science fiction. I have um, discovered lately Octavia Butler. I didn't know about
Mm.
her. Wow, I'm reading her books like I'm amazed. I mean, I love her. I love her,
Mm.
and I didn't
Yes.
know about her. So I don't know. I could tell. I don't know. I mean, so I read so many different things, and I watch many different movies and series that I would I don't know. At the same time, though, I don't know if you do this. I have like different books at the same time and different series at the same time that I'm watching.
Oh, series? Yeah, I will. I like to switch because I really love a good drama. And sometimes it just gets too heavy. So then I'll switch to something like a kind of a silly comedy. Um, and or yeah, something outside of my more of like a sci-fi thing or like a detective sort of thing. I love to switch between series. Books, I cannot read more than one at a time. I really need to be focused because
Yeah.
I will just forget otherwise. It will just take me too long, and then
No,
I
I,
really
I always have
struggle.
different books at the same time. Yeah, and it depends on the mood. I keep reading one or another. Sometimes there are books that I can just not, I have to read it in one a night,
Yeah.
just in one shot. But for example, right now I'm reading also a book that I have to pause it every now and then. That is called La Península de las Casas Vacías. Is about it's about the Civil War in Spain, but it has some magic realism. Uh,
Mm,
it's a very good book, but the topic,
it's heavy.
is heavy, so I have to pause it anytime
Yeah.
and keep.
That I fully understand.
Yes.
There's a book that was really popular. I mean, it's still very popular, but back when I was living in New York, so years ago, A Little Life, that is A Little Life, yeah, is the title, I believe. But it is so sad. I had to put it down several times. I was just like, I can't. I have to take a break from this. It's just too sad. And I
Yeah.
saw a man. I sat next to a man on a flight recently, and he was reading the book, and I looked over, and I was just like, good luck.
And was he crying?
He wasn't, but I was like, "How you doing? How's that going for you?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." I was like, "It's pretty rough." Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, that's pretty rough." I was
Yeah.
like,
La,
"It's
la,
beautiful, but
penin-
oof."
yeah, La Península de las Casas Vacías. I don't know if I said the name right. Yeah, this is the name. It's a long name. La Península de las Casas Vacías. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, there's so
There's
many
so
stories
many
out
books,
there.
so little time.
Yeah, there are so many stories. I mean, I loved talking to you and sharing the passion for storytelling. I think is what makes our life more interesting. I mean, it's like I think even though people are not so aware, we live in a narrative world,
Mm,
and we don't. we experience the world through stories. So
Yeah.
that's why they are so important.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I genuinely just enjoyed this conversation so much, and good luck in all of your endeavors. I just can't wait to see what you and Immersive Creatures do in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye. You too. Bye.